Have you ever asked yourself why you feel motivated one day and then feel the complete opposite the next? What can you do when you wake up and live out the perfect day? You exercise, get work done, focus on yourself, and then tell yourself you finally made the change that you've always wanted to make. And then the next day, you just completely go back to where you started. One day, you have it all figured out, and then the next, you just don't. The next day, you go back to the same habits. You go back to the same way of thinking. And every single time this happens, you just get more and more demotivated. For me personally, I get that random spark of motivation at night that a lot of people get. The motivation to work as hard as possible, get my entire life together and become as successful as I can be. And then after 2 hours of actually doing great, I would wake up the next morning and then go back into the same routine that I had before. I would wake up and then waste another day. In the past, I've struggled a lot with discipline. And even now, obviously, I still struggle here and there, but I feel like I've made a lot of noticeable progress, which is why I know firsthand that building discipline is so difficult. Building discipline is so difficult because the reason that we're not disciplined is because we're inconsistent. And it's so hard to build consistency when you're inconsistent. And that just leads to a ton of demotivation, but if you're already demotivated, how can you build that discipline? When on one day you can feel like you're on top of the world and you feel like you have everything together, and then the next you don't, how could you continue to be motivated? Building discipline just feels like a continuous cycle of being inconsistent, being undisciplined, and being demotivated. But the good thing is that it takes one moment every single day to break that. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable, and yes, it's going to feel different, but it's not entirely impossible. For me, I would always have these sparks of energy and these spikes of actually accomplishing things, but for some reason, they just never lasted. I'd have one night where I just feel completely locked in, and then the next I just don't. For example, I feel like I could have the best workout of my life, and then after that, I just don't work out for a week. And that's mainly because in that moment, I was motivated. I was motivated to work out one day, and then I didn't have that motivation the next. I didn't work out that day because I was disciplined. It was just motivation. And motivation is simply just a feeling. It's not a lifestyle, it's not permanent, it's not even predictable. Motivation is just something that we randomly feel. It's just something in our brain. Our brains are unpredictable. There's no telling what we're going to be feeling or thinking in an hour from now. And if the only times that you feel like you want to get your life together are when you feel motivated to, you're practically relying on an unreliable brain to guide you to where you want to go. And hopefully you can see the issue in that. If I told myself that I'm only going to work out when I feel motivated again, there could be a month span where I feel that motivation. There's no telling on what I'm going to feel at any given moment, so why would I rely on that? So if you ever wonder why you feel motivated one day and then the next day you just feel like you can't do anything, then the answer is probably that you're relying on your emotions to make you work, when in reality your emotions are just going to guide you to an unpredictable place. But it's one thing to know this and acknowledge it. It's another thing to fix it. It's another thing to actually build the discipline to fix your issues. In your mind, you've already built up an idea of what not to do and what to do. And every single time you make a choice, you reinforce this idea. In this case, you're reinforcing the ideas of just not being disciplined. And after reinforcing this idea in your head for so long, you're pretty much disciplined to be undisciplined. So if you have the power to discipline yourself to be undisciplined, you have the power to do the opposite effect. Since it all happens slowly, you have to slowly revert it back to her. It just takes little moments of saying no to yourself. You can slowly turn that into the complete opposite. For example, just little moments of saying no to yourself. Little moments of building discipline add up over time. To start off, it just takes one moment every single day to say, I don't want to get on my phone this time, or I don't want to watch TV this time. And then over time, as you start to build your discipline, it's going to just come naturally. Eventually, you're going to start saying no to yourself twice a day, 3 times a day, 5 times a day, until your discipline is completely built up. But honestly, even though it's so hard and so uncomfortable, I like to just go all in. But I know it doesn't work for everybody, and a lot of people need to take things slow. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a long time, but eventually it's going to be worth it. Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoy videos like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and make sure y'all stay disciplined to create the future that y'all want to live. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.